Going on, everybody? It's your boy Bleak, back again with more Gears. Now, recently I just did a reaction video to the new Gears of War E-Day trailer that just came out. I think it's been about a couple of weeks now. Once again, like I said, I'm late to the show, but better late than never. And this installment, I want to talk about, what I would like to see in, this upcoming Gears E-Day. Just my predictions of like I said, I don't know where the campaign might go because once again, this is just 14 years before Gears of War One, so it's the you know first appearance that the Locusts ever show up, coming out of the Hollow. But as I'm just rambling on of what I would like to see in this new Gears E Day, I'm just gonna play some gameplay footage of mine from my channel while I'm talking, so y'all don't have to subject yourself to just looking at me the whole time. So I'm just gonna play this in the background. Now, first off, what I would like to see in E Day, when I looked at some of the past games, I'm trying to remember everything, but as I was playing, like particularly Gears 5 or even 4, there's always, every time, the next installment comes out, they always take things away from the previous games that I personally like. Like I said, Gears 3 was, my favorite one. And, I had a lot of memories playing the second game too. I mean, honestly, the second game is where I, kind of really got into it. That's the very first one I played, and then I went back and played the first one. And I would say that the gunplay was probably better on the first one. I mean, the second game was very, very buggy. It had a lot of glitches and stuff like that, and it had a lot of problems. But I like once when you got it shredded on the second game, it was very rewarding. And I just want to just talk about some of the stuff that I would like to see in Gears E Day. And I'm gonna start by talking about a particular weapon. It was a pistol. It was called the Gorgon pistol that was used by the Cantus enemy type. And I'm trying to remember, was the Gorgon, was it in Gears 3? I'm trying to remember. Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, it was. It was. I think 4 is when they got rid of it because it was a new generation, so they got rid of certain weapons. But there is one particular weapon that I would like for them to bring back, and this maybe controversial because I remember when it launched on Gears 3, a lot of people were complaining about it, and that was the sawed-off shotgun. A lot of people hated it, but I liked it because it was something different. We got a second shotgun, and obviously, if you're a Gears vet, you know that the primary shotgun in the game was always the Nasher, and I just thought it was just a different change of pace when they introduced the sawed-off shotgun in Gears 3. A lot of people didn't like it, but I thought it was. I mean, the way, because like I said, Gears 1 through 3 was developed by Epic, and then TC took it over. But Epic, I think they balanced that gun the best possible way they could because out of all of the guns that I've ever seen in any shooter that I've ever played, I've never seen a gun that had the shortest range in any shooter that I've ever played. If you can remember the sawed off, it was I mean, the reload time was ridiculous. It was super long. It was the longest ever, and like I said, the range was short. And on top of it, you only got one shot, one. So I mean, you had to really, really, make sure you were within range, because if not, you were just gonna get blown away. But the most devastating thing about the sawed off is that it can kill up to 3 people in a single shot. I remember seeing that. I remember when I did it for the first time, I was like, yo, I one guy got down and another one got down, and I think he tried to pick up one of them, and I just ran up on him and just pulled the trigger, and they all 3 went. And I believe it was on the thrash ball stage, which is a stage I would like to see come back because, like I said, this was right before all of the devastation that we've seen happen in Gears 1. But yeah, the Gorgon pistol I would like to see come back. And for those who don't know what that is, or who may be new to the Gears of War franchise, it was a gun that was seen in the first three installments, used by the Kantas. And it was a pistol that had like a banana clip. It was a burst shot pistol that was first introduced in the second game. It wasn't in the first game. It was in the second game. Cause I, yeah, it wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't. No Kantas enemies in the first game. They were introduced in the second game, and that was the pistol that they primarily used. It was a burst shot on the second game, and then they kind of changed it to like a semi-automatic or automatic pistol, which was fine. But like I remember, had a cool execution to it. That was the one thing that was always unique about Gears games. The all of the guns had you know special executions, and it was really really cool. So yeah, I would love to see the sawed off come back. I know a lot of people probably didn't like it, but I loved it. I would like to see the Gorgon pistol come back. And because this is E Day again, let me fast forward a bit to some of the action here, because, or at least go to something else. I'm playing with some buddies here, so bear with me on that one. But and it's gonna and what's gonna be fun about E Day, because this is we're going back in time here, so we're gonna see the locust now, because as we all know, the enemy types in Gears now, they're called the Swarm. I still call them locusts, to be honest, but I would never really call them Swarm. When you're a veteran Gears vet, they're always gonna be locusts to us. But yeah, we're probably gonna see the boomers come back, and maybe some blood mounts, but the blood mounts didn't show up until Gears 2, and that was probably maybe 2 years after the first game. So who knows, But for sure we might see some boomers. And one of the boomer enemies, it was called they had like these they had these boom shields. It was a shield, maulers. That's what they're called. See, this is how long I've been. This is how long since we've been playing the other games. But we get the boomers had these different types of boomers. You had the boomers who carried the boom shots. You had the grinder boomers who had the Moltra weapons, and then you had these boomers called maulers that carried like they had like a boom shield, and they had like a mace with them, and they were pretty unique to fight. They would use the boom shield to get closer and closer to you, and once they got closer to you, they would swing that mace on you, and that added so much damage and so much devastation. And they also had these boomers called butchers, and they had like these cleavers, which is pretty cool. Um, they first appeared, Maulers and cleavers first appeared on the second game. But the cool thing about the butchers who use those cleaver weapons, you can use them as a weapon in the third game, which was pretty cool. You can actually pick up that cleaver weapon and use it. And that I remember that cleaver had a very devastating execution where they would just decapitate the person, whoever you did it to. So yeah, maybe the boom shield would come back. In Gears 3, the Ultra introduced a this rail gun. It was called a one shot, which was a devastating weapon. It was a heavy weapon. And for those who didn't know what that was, who may be new to the franchise, but that basically was a rail gun where you would set it up, and it had a charge. It was a charge shot, a rail gun. And the crazy thing about it is, if anybody were like lined up with each other, the shot would just go through like up to like, I think it would kill everybody one shot. I remember a buddy of mine. We were on this old stage that was new on the third game called Mercy, and there's this little cathedral entrance on Mercy, and I remember my buddy, he took that the one shot, and for some reason four guys was just like lined up against each other, and he just took them all out in one shot. So yeah, it was. I mean, the gun is called the one shot for a reason. So I would like to see that come back. Yeah, the Gorgon pistol, the sawed off, boom shield, the one shot, and also obviously the hammer burst has been with us throughout. But in the first game, the hammer burst, it was a burst shot in the first game where you can actually just hold the trigger down, and it would just shoot like this like quad ballistic shots. That's how it was in the first game. And then the second game, it changed. It was like a rapid fire where you just You would just like just pull it, you just like just tap it repeatedly. And I remember playing the second game there. It was a lot of people who were just devastating with that weapon. I mean, especially with the active reload, especially on the second game, the hammer burst. It really put the Lancer to shame in the second game. The hammer burst, that rapid fire shot with the active reload, and on Gears Judgment, they had put both hammer burst, features in the game. You can actually play with the hammer burst, the burst shot, the original, or you could play with the second one with the rapid fire. So that was a pretty cool installment feature that they added in Gears Judgment. So I wonder in E Day, will we get that as well? Will we get two of the different hammer burst features? Will that be available to us? Don't know. And as you see right here, the retro, which was introduced in the third game, and I mean, and that was actually the weapon that Marcus used against the Locust drone in the trailer. It was a retro lancer, and of course the retro lancer. Those were the standard issue rifles that the Coalition of Order governments used during the Pendulum Wars. The retro lancer was the lancer that they used first before the lancer with the chainsaw that we all know and love now. They used the retro lancer, so there's no doubt in my mind that the retro lancer will be brought back in E Day because we saw it in the trailer. And what else? Yeah, Gorgon, Sawed Off, Boom Shield. Um, Maybe you got the Breaker Mace right here. Maybe they bring that back, and the Talon pistol and all the other stuff. But I think that like I said, be like some of these were like swarm weapons right here. So I doubt we'll see that because this is going to be the original. So I mean, this is definitely going to be an origin story in terms of Gears. I mean, this is 14 years before the first game. So I mean, yeah, I'm sure we'll see the torque bow because that was the standard weapon that the Theron guards used. I'm sure we'll see that come back. And characters, um, I very much doubt that some of these characters will be seen in the campaign because, like I said, I mean, a lot of these people, Marcus and Don probably hadn't even met yet at this time. But I wonder, Dom had a brother. I forget his name. Was it Carlos? I can't remember. But Marcus fought alongside of Dom's brother. I believe his name was Carlos. He fought beside of him in Aspel Fields. So I wonder will we see him. Marcus also fought alongside Michael too. Michael Barrick that you first seen in Gears 3. He was the guy that had the cigar, fight with the cigar in his mouth. Marcus fought with him, so maybe we might see him. And like I said, Adam, Marcus's father, he was still around in those days. So, and of course he'll be a little bit younger. So maybe we might see him. And I'm just talking about just for multiplayer. Will some of these characters be available to come back? Um, I would like to see Griffin come back too, even though we didn't see him until Gears 3, and he was voice acted by Ice T, and that's probably why they didn't bring him up. Because the crazy thing is that Griffin, they brought back Griffin in Gears of War, the Ultimate Edition, which was pretty much a rework of the first game that came out for the Xbox One, and they threw Griffin in that. So, and I don't know if Ice T did all the voiceover work. I don't know if they carried over his voiceover work in Ultimate. I can't remember. It was a while back. But I would like to see Griffin come back as just as a playable character. And I can remember in Gears 3 they had like those guest characters. They had like Killer Mike and was the other guy like LP and of course in Gears 5 they brought the New Day back, put him in here. I mean, and then we got Batista who was like supposed to be Marcus. Like I'm surprised we just haven't got a Gears movie. I mean, because Batista was supposed to be fit to be to play the Marcus Phoenix role in a Gears film, and there's rumors that they're finally doing it, which took forever. But I digress. But yeah, I would like to see certain characters come back. I would like to see Griffin back in there. Um, like I said, I don't know how long Marcus and Dom knew Ty. Did they know Ty 14 years before the first game? Because we didn't see Ty until the second game, so I don't know. Maybe Ty would be a playable character. Um, I mean, there's no doubt in my mind Anya, who unfortunately that we lost in Gears before Gears 4, but it's no doubt in my mind she'll be back as a playable character. And but like I said, because that was the thing about Gears, Gears 3. Between Gears 3 and Gears 4, we got so many additional characters, playable characters. And in terms of DLC, I remember in Gears 2, it was so much DLC. They had like these snowblind maps, combustible maps, and I can't remember all of them. It was just so long ago, but there was so many maps, so many stages that that was downloadable content on the second game. So I would like to, I would love to see if some of the those classic stages come back for E Day, and obviously we're gonna get some new stages. I mean, they always introduce new stages, for the new games. But one of my favorite stages that my buddies loved and we like to play on a lot, it was a stage called Security that was introduced in the second game, and man, we just rumbled on that stage, man. It was, and what we loved about it was just no power weapons. Really, it was only just a couple of frags. I call them biscuits. A couple of biscuits and a scorcher. The flamethrower, and that was about it. You know what I'm saying? I mean that stage strictly just shotgun battles, man. You went in that little inside part where the laser gates was, with a little button where you could push the button to get the scorcher behind the laser gates. But there was that long narrow hallway, and we just went in there and just it was go time. And I was always like one of the people who was just first just to go in there. You throw like a smoke just to get closer, and you go in, man. It just shred central. So I would love to see some of the classic stages come back for this one. I would love to see Security. There was a locust stage called Way Station, which was really fun to play on too. I mean, just another rumble stage, and I believe there was like the torque bow was the power weapon on that stage. I think it was one torque bow, one sniper, I believe. If memory serves me, it was so long ago. But I would like to see stages like that come back. Um, and like I said, this is the original. So I mean, there's no reason why they couldn't put the thrash ball stage on it. See, I wanted the thrash ball stage to come back for Gears 5. That's what I wanted because they added that new dodgeball mode. I mean the thrash balls. I mean not dodge. What's it called? Gridiron mode. Excuse me. It was the gridiron mode. And I don't understand why they didn't bring the thrash ball stage. I mean the thrash ball stadium stage would have been great for the gridiron game mode, and it could have been something special too. I mean, instead of like fighting in the convention traditional sense, the way Gears is, it's just going there guns blazing. For the gridiron mode, I just wanted to be a little bit more special, and I think they could have did something special with the thrash ball stadium for that mode, but it all went for naught. And playing Gears 5, gridiron, it just turned out to be a pain. Only because it's, I think it's like 13 or 14 points to win. It was just so many rounds, and it got very tedious at times too, especially when you do them on particular stages. And yeah, it just I really didn't care for it. Just fast forwarding right here, and yeah, I would like to see the thrash ball stage come back. Some of the snowblind maps, some of the combustible stage maps, and also I will yeah, I mean yeah, there's another weapon too that was called the mortar weapon. There's no reason why that can't come back because yeah, I mean the mortar what was yeah, like Gears 3 was the last time we seen the mortar. They didn't bring it back for Gears 4, and for good, yeah, for sure it wasn't on 5 either. So I would like to see the mortar come back as well, certain weapons. And you see men right there. So we lost men back in. We lost him in the first game, so maybe we might see him, and maybe, and obviously, if we do see him in the story, that's the one thing. I just want to know who we're going to see in the story, because I don't know, because I didn't I didn't really go into depth, with the books, and you can see me getting shredded right there. But I didn't really go into depth with the books, and so I don't know how long. But yeah, because Marcus and Dom, they met Cole in the first game. Yeah, they met Cole and Baird in the first game, so I very much doubt we might see Cole and Baird in this game, but yeah, there's no doubt in my mind that Marcus and Dom. I mean, they obviously knew who Cole is because Cole was a famous thrash ball player, so they knew who Coltrane was. But I don't know if they met him before that. So it's gonna be cool to just to see if Marcus and Dom cross paths because right at the beginning of E Day, the planet Sarah went to crap and Cole became a member of the COG. When the planet was under attack by the locusts. So it would be a good change of pace just to see if Marcus and Dom cross paths with Cole and Baird. And I don't know how long Marcus knew Anya. I mean, he knew her for a while, but oh yeah, it's just going to be interesting to see that dynamic. Or will the campaign be kind of tight? Will it just be Marcus and Dom the entire time? I don't know because when Gears 3 came out, that was the first Gears in terms of campaign where you can play up to 4 players. Because in the first two it was just 2 players. It was always Marcus and Dom, and then they would always link up with Cole and Baird, and then Delta Squad would always go into the end. But yeah, maybe this one will, like I said, because maybe it will be more tight in terms of character, character development. Maybe Marcus and Dom maybe would be sticking with us, and obviously they're gonna run into some people. We'll probably might see Chairman Prescott in there. We might see Colonel Hoffman. Just to see who's gonna make an appearance and who's gonna be playable for E Day. And that's going to be really exciting to know. So yeah, like, I would like so all those weapons that I named, I would like to see some of them come back. Some of the characters. I don't know I don't know if they'll put Sam in there. And I mean I wanted Dizzy to come back in Gears 5. Like maybe some of the people who are more into depth of reading the books, maybe they know Dizzy's fate because we didn't see. I mean, as far as the games are concerned, we didn't really see Dizzy until. I mean, the last time we saw him was for Gears. Yeah, the 3 when when Adam he created the motion countermeasure that wiped out all the emotion and killed the parasites and all that stuff. And that was the last time we saw Dizzy. So I don't really know if Dizzy is still walking among us or is he gone. So I mean, so yeah, it would be pretty cool to see Dizzy again. But yeah, yeah, just all those characters and what else, man? Like yeah, stages. I wonder what and also let me get down to some of the cosmetics. I loved the cosmetics in Gears 4. They went all out for the cosmetics in Gears of War 4. They went into depth. I mean, the cosmetic, the skins for the weapons in Gears 3 was pretty in depth, and like I said, Gears 3 DLC was really good too. They added a lot. After the game had been out for a while, some of the skins. I've always used the blood skins. I just feel like it was just the most realistic type of skin. I always used the blood skins. I like them better in Gears 3 than 4 and 5 because the weapons kind of look darker in 4 and 5. It just didn't look right. But I still use them. But I just prefer how they looked in the third game because the original weapon still kept its color. Whatever the weapon looked like, they just threw blood on it. But with the blood skin in 4 and 5, the weapons were all the same color. They kind of like changed it, so it didn't look the same. But I still use them. But I remember in Gears 4, like for example, the character Oscar, Kate's uncle, he had like these lucha libre skins and stuff, which was pretty cool. Um, maybe I mean, like I said, obviously, like I said, because obviously a lot of these characters haven't been met yet. I mean, this is 14 years before the first game, so I just want to know who will they just throw in there, and what the cosmetics are gonna look like for Marcus and Dom. You know, like I said, who knows if Cole and Bear is gonna be in this one? Because like I said, they hadn't met him yet, so that's the big thing. I just want to know who's gonna make an appearance on this one. That's gonna be the big thing. Um, and this is before Marcus's incarceration. Maybe nah, that's nah. They probably won't do that because as we remember, Marcus was imprisoned in the original game. So yeah, maybe like I said, maybe Marcus might be of higher rank in this one, like how Baird was of higher rank. I mean, Baird was a lieutenant in Judgment, and Marcus and Baird, they kind of like had similarities of being insubordinate and just not listening, like kind of like going off to do their own thing and stuff like that. So that's where the motions always came in, and that's why they always kind of bumped heads with Colonel Hoffman. So that was pretty funny. Like for example, in Judgment, Baird was bumping heads with that Loomis guy, and that was pretty cool to see too. And that's another thing I would like for the horde mode. Will they bring the horde? Will they bring the horde mode back? Because horde mode wasn't introduced into the second game. There wasn't a horde mode in the first game. So I wonder. I mean, will we get a horde mode? That's what I'm really you know pressed about. I mean, are they gonna go full old school, really basic, go back to being kind of like a smaller game in terms of content, like how the first one was, or will we still keep all the additional content? Will we still get the extra, campaign mode like how they did in Gears 3? What was like an aftermath story where Cole and Baird, we pretty much got to see where Cole and Baird went when Marcus and Anya and company them they went to Azura, but Cole and Baird they went to get reinforcements, and then they ran into Paddock, and then that's when they got the huge UIR Grozny ship, and then they sailed all the way to Azura in the third game. So will we get an additional campaign like how we did in the third game and or in the fifth game too? So I mean, yeah, will we get an additional campaign? Will we get a horde mode? I would like to see them bring back a beast mode too, because beast mode was introduced in the third game. That was very fun too, and I don't know why they didn't carry that on, because that was the question that I was asking in the second game. I was like, man, it would be pretty cool to play with, the locusts in their version of horde mode, and then Epic did that for us in Gears 3, which was very very cool too, because when you play with the locusts in the beast mode, it wasn't like how you were playing with the humans. Some of the locusts had like their own special abilities. Like playing with the Cantus. The Cantus, you can actually use that ability when the Cantus speak of the devil, where the Cantus can actually like revive and heal some of their allies and stuff like that. That was pretty cool. They had this enemy type in the third game called the Serapy, which was just a big big centipede, electric centipede type of enemy type that you can play with in the third game in the beast mode. Of course, you can play with the drones and the boomers, and the way that mode was, you had to get a certain amount of kills, because you couldn't just pick any of the enemy types. You had to earn tokens. So of course you always started with the weaker logos. You always started with the drones, and then you work your way up to the Cantuses, into the boomers, and then you can get the berserker and stuff like that. And once you got the berserker, it was pretty much over. So berserker was just a powerhouse and just wrecked everything in his way. So yeah, I would like to see, will they have a beast mode or something similar to a beast mode. And yeah, what else, man? Yeah, some weapons, classic stages. Maybe bring back a beast mode. Yeah, man. I really would like to see what would they what would they bring back, what would they keep, because that's the one thing about these series games, man. They will always introduce something that you like, and then they take it away in the next installment. So yeah, man, I would like, yeah, but I want that sawed off back. I really do. I don't care how much people complain about it. Hey, man, the great ones figure it out. I mean, because like I said, I struggled the first time when I was dealing with it, and then that's when I realized that, as I said, hey, you just gotta keep your distance, because when you're playing with the Nasher in Gears of War, you always want to go for the shred or the gib. Most people would know that, but my buddies and I, we call it shred. You walk up to somebody with the Nasher, you pull the trigger, guts everywhere. But yeah, like, because people always press to get the shred or the gib, and sometimes you just have to go for the down. You just got to keep your distance, and that's really how you combat the sawed off in the third game, so I was able to deal with that well. So it wasn't really a problem for me. The retro was, to me, the retro was the biggest issue to deal with in the third game because it was so powerful, and a lot of people said it was overpowered and all that stuff. And I mean, that complaint, it was warranted. It was OP, but I was like, man, hey man, either you adapt and deal with it or you just don't. Because regardless of whatever weapon that you get your butt kicked by the most, that's the weapon that you're gonna complain about the most. And for me, it was the retro, and obviously the long shot was always a pain in the butt to deal with too, man. Especially when you're dealing with enemies who are very, very good with it. I mean, you got people out here no scoping people. I mean, I've done it a couple of times, but I ain't that good with the long shot. I'm pretty decent with it. I can split some wigs with it. Some people were just insane with it. But yeah, man, it's no doubt in my mind we gonna we they keeping the long shot. I mean, and that's a gun aim. I mean, the long shot is just as impactful as the Lancer and the Nash. That's a weapon you always gonna see. The Botok, I'm sure they'll keep that. I mean, that gun wasn't introduced until the second game. And what enemy type was using that? Because the Locust used the Botok. I mean, it actually has the Locust emblem on the on the handle of the Botok. I forget which Locust enemy actually uses it, but it's a Locust weapon. But there's no doubt in my mind they'll keep the Botok. And and also the grenades. There was this because in the first what 2 games, I'll be at the first 2 games. There were these enemy types called what were they called? Nemesis, and they were these enemies. They look crazy, look like these like giant crab looking enemies and stuff like that. And they would shoot these little ink blot things, and they would like these little seeking things, and they would just aim for you. They look like these huge ink jellyfish things that the nemesis would just spawn, and they would just go seek and kill you or try to. And in the multiplayer mode, they had these grenades called ink grenades, where you throw ink at people, and that was the grenade that the was it the Cantus or was it Scourge? I think it was the Cantus that used them, if memory serves me. But yeah, but the reason why we didn't see uh, the Nemesis in the I believe after after a while between the second and the third game because the light mass bomb that they activated on at the end of was it the first game, it killed a lot of the Nemesis off, and then I mean of course we saw him again on the second game, but I can't remember if we saw him on the third game. I don't think no we didn't. I mean they still had their aim grenade in there for the multiplayer, but yeah the Nemesis were pretty much all gone in the third game, and then that's when you saw the new Lambent mutating enemies in the third game. Everything went Lambent. The juice just affected everybody, and then we saw like how the emotion spread it to humans, and we had to fight off human lambent enemies, which is pretty cool. I mean, the third game was just crazy. I mean, everything went to pot, and you know, yeah, we lost a special someone, but hey, he's coming back for this one. Our boy Dom, so we saw him in the trailer, so it's gonna be nice to see that dynamic between Marcus and Dom again. But yeah, man, just like all those weapons I named, I would love to see a lot of them come back. I doubt we get all of them back. I know I'm missing some weapons. I can't remember. And well, like oh yeah, the DB weapons. I know we're not gonna see those. The DB weapons, like the Enforcer, the M bar, the Overkill. We're not gonna see those. I know that because that was later. 25 was it like 20 plus years after the third game, where Baird kind of retired from frontline action. Marcus and Baird and Cole are all older now, so Baird kind of like took like an Adam Phoenix role, scientist and all that stuff, creating all of these crazy contraptions and all these weapons and stuff like that. The DBs were actually named. He pretty much named them after himself, DB, Damon Baird. So yeah, we're not gonna see the you know DB weapons. They may throw them in there. Who knows? Just for the most part, who knows? They may throw them in there. I doubt it though. Because Baird and all those guys, they were young men in this one. So yeah, I doubt we see any of the DB weapons. Will we see the Scorcher? Don't know. But I like but the one thing about Judgment was so different from all of the other games. And people can. I yeah did some research, and yes, people can fly. That studio, they did develop that game. I had to look it up after my last video. But I remember, man, they had like stem grenades on there and stuff like that, which was kind of annoying to deal with because I remember, in the multiplayer, that was a grenade that a lot of people use. As soon as you approach somebody, they just throw the stem on the ground and heal themselves, and they just go in there and just shred people. So yeah, the stem grenades were pretty annoying to deal with. Um, will they bring the incendiary grenades back? I call them the hotcakes. You probably heard me call them the hotcakes on some of my gameplay videos. Will they bring those back? Just gotta wait and see. And the one thing about the horde mode that it was certain centuries that they had on the third game that they got rid of in the fourth and the fifth game. I remember in the third game they had like shock centuries. They had they kept the shock centuries. They got rid of the fire centuries in the fourth and fifth game. But like I said, I love horde mode a lot. I mean, horde mode was a mode that got better and better each year. I mean, Gears 3 really kicked it. I mean, it was a huge kick up from the second game to the third game. It was really fun in the third game. It was cool in the fourth game too. I remember when I played it in the fourth game when they introduced classes, and I can't remember all the classes in the fourth game, but I remember I played with a class where you pretty much can just I can't remember the class. It's been so long since I played the fourth game. I've just been playing the fifth game, but it was a class where you can just summon a hammer of dawn, and it would just wipe out all of the enemies on the stage. And then, and I remember because initially it was kind of cheaper. It didn't cost as much, power to use it, and then they upped the price and power because it was just so overpowered. And then because even when in the tougher waves, the further you get into the waves in the horde mode, people would just abuse it. So I guess TC said like, yeah, we're gonna have to raise this price because people are just it was just too easy for the horde mode. So that was the class that I played with. I can't remember what the name of the class, but in Gears 5, yeah, the horde mode it's the best it's ever been. I love how they made all because and that's the thing because Gears of War 4 and Gears of War 5 at launch they both those games had very slow starts, and I don't know why. I mean, maybe this is just that's just modern gaming now, but both those games had a very slow start. It was very little content, and it was very the horde mode was very it was very limited at launch. Both of the games. I remember when Gears 5 came out, you only had like four classes. I can remember it was like four or five or something like that, and then over time they added more classes. Because when the game first launched, you you in order to play with a certain class, you had to pick a certain character. And then after a while, they changed it and they said, no, you can play with whomever you want, with whichever class you want. So over time, it got better. So, and that's just something that TC has been doing. And, Epic never really did that. When the games came out at launch, I mean, you got what you got, and it was kind of extensive at launch. And then obviously with the DLC, it added more to the fun. It further it made the gaming experience much better. But for some reason, 4 and 5 they just had slow starts. I don't know why. I don't know what TC was thinking with it. But like I said, they got better over time. So I mean, Gears of War 5 is fun. Like I said, the gameplay is great. It was just the campaign, the story that was kind of I would say probably the weakest the weakest part of the entire. When you talk about the totality of the game as a whole, Gears 5, I would say the campaign. I didn't really care for the skiffing stuff in the open world. I mean, it was a good addition. It was something new for Gears, but Gears. I don't think Gears needs that. Gears doesn't really need that open world concept and stuff like that and all that skipping and stuff. It was like I said, it was fun to see for the first time, but then I got bored with it extra quick because every time I play these campaigns and stuff like that, I always try to, you know, get get my money's worth, you know. So I always try to find like all the collectibles, all of the cog tags and stuff like that. And I would say in Gears of War 5, which was the great addition, Jack, Jack being a playable character in the horror mode, that was probably the best thing that they could have did. Jack is he's very fun to play with. I mean, like I said, I maxed out all of the classes in Gears of War 5. I maxed them all out. I mean, that's just how much I've been playing. Like I'm, you know, so I'll get into multiplayer and get my shred on. I'll go to the battlefield and duke it out with people. But I love playing horde mode as well. I mean, you have a lot of people, you have a lot of Gears heads out there who play Gears strictly just for horde, and then they try to max out all the classes and get all the cards and stuff like that. And the card concept for the horde classes, that was something that was introduced in the fourth game. And yeah, I just want to know for E Day, will they even have a horde mode? Will it be as extensive as the fourth game and the fifth game, or will they go back to being basic, how it was in the second game? You know, will we get a beast mode back? You know, I'm just want to know, you know, what are we gonna get? And I'm just, just rambling like I always do, just spitballing just to see, what sticks. And yeah, man, some your weapons, stages, some of the cosmetics or skins, whatever you want to call them, certain characters, who's gonna make an appearance, who will make a cameo appearance, who will come back, who will be a playable character in the multiplayer mode, and maybe an additional side campaign mode. And yeah, I think that just about covers it. I'm just doing this all off the top of my head. I'm just trying to remember, and I think I covered quite a bit of ground. I mean, if I missed anything, or if any of you out there have any suggestions of what you would like to see come back in the game, or something that you would like to them to keep, feel free to put your 31 cents in there in the comment section down there. Because I know I'm going to always put my 31 cents in there. But yeah, man, like I said, I mean, like I said, I don't know if we have a release date yet. I mean, it's no doubt in my mind it's not coming out this year. It's probably gonna be 2025 at most. Yeah, man, stages, weapons, skins, characters, maybe a horde mode the way it is now. Maybe they may leave it the way it is with the cards and the upgrades and the super moves you can do. Maybe a beast mode. Who knows? But like, yeah, this is all the stuff that I would like to see come back or stay. And when E-Day, drops. But yeah, man, it's your boy Bleak signing off, and until we meet again, safe journey. Oof.